So, let's start talking today about color schemes and color harmony. There are a lot of ways you can achieve color harmony when painting. Some people do it by instinct. I really envy them. I cannot do that. I hope one day I'm in that level. There are color family and color gamut. Color gamut is really awesome, but unfortunately it gives me a lot of room for options, and right now I need to limit myself. I limit my choices in color so I can learn how to work better with it. This way, the better option to me is using color schemes. Color schemes basically is a combination of a limited numbers of paint that working together makes your painting look more harmonious and coherent with each other. So before we start talking about the color schemes or the color schemes we are doing in this video, the first thing you have to know is about your mother color, your base color, your main color. It's from these colors you are going to start choose the other colors you are going to use, or the other colors that are going to work better in your painting. I'm going to do all this series based on one mother color. Before I was going to use yellow. I already told you guys in past videos that yellow is one of my favorite colors to use as a base, and from that choose another colors I'm going to use. But it was a bit too easy to me, so I give me a little bit more of a challenge and choose to use my favorite color, that is the blue-green, that normally I would use as more of a contrast or a focal point, not as a base. So this way I'm going to give me a little bit of a challenge. Let's see if I'm not going to mess up future paintings on this series of color schemes. After choosing your main color, the other thing you need to know is the 4 forms you can desaturate this color. By desaturating the colors, you are going to give more complexity and more depth in your paint. The 4 ways you can do that is: first, by tinting. Tinting is to add white to the paint. In case in watercolor, most of the time adding water, make it light. The second way is shading. Shading is basically to add back. I'm going to consider it the sepia, because normally in watercolor you don't add any black and you do your own black mixing other colors. The third way is by toning. Toning to add gray. In this case, let's use our gray, our indigo, our paint is gray almost, to be our tone. And the fourth way is by muting it. Muting your painting is by adding the complementary color, like I like to say, the opposite. So this is the 4 forms of desaturation you have to know before start painting. And we are going to use it a lot here because in this first video I'm doing a monochromatic painting. Normally people would use it, and I did it before, as a value study of a painting. But in a value study, I would normally just layer the same color one over another until they got the shades I wanted. And I'm not going to do it here. Here I'm going to do these 4 types of saturations to work in my painting and see how it end up like. And it was really interesting to work this way. It was the first time I make conscious choice of using this color the way I did. Normally when I'm mixing, I do mixing by instinct. Is that why most of the time I mess up? So doing it and thinking how would I add the color with one another and how it would end up was really fun. And it ended up being really interesting. The depth and the contrast I could build it made the paint look really interesting and not just look like a value stud. I was really trying very hard not to make it look like just a stud and not as a final painting. I want it to look more finalized. I used salt, you can see. I love to use salt. I practically use salt on my paintings, so you're going to see a lot of it in the future. Every time I paint, I do it, basically. And I tried to add some elements of fantasy. You could see by the circle I did it after. I was just going to do a normal landscape, but in the middle of it, I wanted to make it fantasy, and I always add some kind of circle if I want to make something magical. I don't know why, but I always do that. And I did that in here too. It did work and did not work. It didn't end up the way I wanted it to, but it did end up in a way I really like it, and I want to try do it again in the other paintings I'm doing in the series. By the way, I'm going to paint the exactly same landscape. It's a landscape. Yeah, it's a landscape. The same landscape in all of my paints in color schemes. And I'm just going to change the colors and the way I'm going to paint it. And in the end, I want to see how it's going to look and how I'm going to work with it. In the process, I'm doing a lot of tests too of different techniques to use while painting. So it's a good thing, it's a good exercise. If you are interested, do it. It is a really good exercise. Anyhow, it is not a finalized painting. You are just doing little studies. You can explore and risk a little bit more than you would do in a normal painting. I try my best to show you guys the way I work mixing the colors. I try to make it really simple and careful, but you're probably going to see in the next videos it's not going to work this way, because like I said, when I start mixing color, mix one with another, I make a mess. But in this one, like I was just changing and adding the white, the sepia and the gray, make a little bit of the difference. I didn't go too much overboard in the craziness, or maybe overall what I most paid attention while doing these monochromatic color schemes was how to give depth in my painting. That was one of the most important things, because normally I use color to give depth, and in this paint I would not have this option. So making the distance in the end and the level of details I was going to work is what was in most part in my mind while painting it. And in the end I like it a lot. My dome, my circle of magic did not end up the way I wanted, but it ended up really looking very cool. A smoke, almost like smoke, and I really like this effect. I plan on trying do it in the future color scheme exercise and do it in different colors and see how it's going to look. Well, so that's the first one. We are going to do more next. If I'm not wrong, it's going to be 6, but maybe not. I will going to check and tell you later. And this is the monochromatic color schemes. It's very interesting. I hope one day I do a painting this way. I'm going to do in the future a painting this way, just using monochromatic and not just use monochromatic just to do studio values. This painting ended up really looking really cool. I like it. So I hope you like it too, and I hope you see in the next videos. So subscribe and like it. Press the bell button and comment, give me your opinion. What did you like about this video, what you didn't like, and did I talk something that was not right? Let me know. So I'll see you next. Bye bye guys.